All right, we're ready for another class, and today it'd be really handy if you had maybe 2 bricks, but you can get away with 1 or even none if you like, and a strap, because we are going to be doing some leg stretches. It's just easier if you've got something to hook around the foot. So if you start off with your strap nearby, we'll start lying down. Finding that comfortable position on the floor, especially for the back. You might want to take a nice deep breath in through the nose and sigh it out through the mouth. So great big on the exhale. We'll do 2 more of those. Big breath in. Last one. All right, and then with the arms down beside the body, if you can have the knees bent, feet just relax about hip width, and we'll do a little bit of a pelvic tilt. So we're just going to tilt the pubic bone towards the floor, which creates an arch in the back. And then when we tilt the pelvis the other way, we should be pressing the lower back to the floor. So as we breathe in, we're going to tilt down. And then as we exhale, tilting up. And as we do this movement, the head should also be moving. So as we tilt down, chin tucks in, and as we exhale and tilt up, you'll probably find the chin moves up towards the ceiling. So this is a whole spinal movement. And then when we get to that next exhale, just relax, no tension, neutral spine. All right, so if you can now grab your strap and we'll place it around the right foot, just over the ball of the foot. Trying to find a straight leg. So we'll get the thigh muscle nice and firm, kneecap lifting up. So if you need to take the leg a little bit closer to the floor, that's fine. And the sensation shouldn't be super strong at this point in the back of the leg, but we're just trying to find the edge. So have a little play as to where you start to get a bit of a sensation, but not anything too overwhelming. And then lifting the ball of the foot, of the lifted leg, a little bit higher towards the ceiling. So it's not quite stiletto, but definitely not below the heel. It just makes that right leg a little bit more active. We'll take a breath in, and on the exhalation, extending the left leg out along the floor now. And the left leg's quite active too, so I'm pulling the toes back, pushing out through the ball of the foot, and trying to think of taking the back of that left thigh to the floor. You probably notice that right leg now feels more sensation. It should be a stronger sense of stretch. So we relax into that. By relax, I mean trying to relax the hamstrings, not the quads. And check in with the face that the face is relaxed. Keep breathing in and out through the nose. And from here, we'll slide that left foot back in. So we're rebending the left knee, and hopefully you can find a little bit more extension now in that right leg. So we're going to bring it a little bit closer. hold that position. So you should still feel the sacrum connected to the floor. And then we'll back that stretch off with the right leg a little bit. So I'm going to go deeper into the glute muscles, the buttock muscles, and the lower back by bending this right knee. So start to bend the knee, drawing it more towards the outside. And you may be able to reach up, grab hold of the foot. We've got the right heel directly over the knee joints. And if it's not comfortable to reach the foot, you can stay with the strap. And I'm letting my left knee relax a little bit out to the left, just so that the pelvis stays level on the ground. And I think of relaxing, opening into my lower back, into my buttock muscles. And checking that I'm not gritting the teeth. And if this is all feeling good, on the next exhalation, perhaps try extending that left leg out along the floor. If it doesn't feel good, just rebend the left knee. Perhaps focusing on that deep belly breath now. Inhale, expand into the belly. Exhale, relax a little more. So now we'll slide that left foot back in and maybe taking that strap off the right leg, releasing with the hand, we'll bring that right leg down to the ground nice and slow. And then we'll slide both heels away, straightening the legs and feeling what's going on in the right side and the left. And then we can shake it off. All right, bending both knees again. And we'll take our strap, place it around the left foot. Just behind the toes there on the ball of the foot. Start relaxed and see if you can get this left leg straight. I don't want to be too bent. And finding the edge of the stretch. So here, for me, I'm not really feeling anything at all. Over here is a little bit too much. I'm just looking for that sweet spot where I'm just on the edge, which for me is about here. Now, if your hands get tied, you can wrap the strap around. Just let the arms hang in the straps to be a little bit more comfortable. So moving on the exhalation, extending the right leg out along the floor now. And we try to shape the foot so the ball of the foot's a little higher than the heel on the top foot. Tune into the breath. Constantly looking for that edge. Okay, we're going to slide the right foot back in. Still keep the left leg straight though. And we'll see if we can get a little bit more out of that stretch now. So we'll back it off a little bit and start to bend into the left knee. We're going to turn it slightly out to that left side as we bring the foot down, perhaps grabbing hold of that left foot. So I've got the heel stepped over my knee, the sole of the foot is facing the ceiling. And at the same time, I'm letting my right knee just relax a little bit out to the right to keep the pelvis level. So on that exhalation, looking to soften into the lower back, into the buttock muscles. And if you want to extend it that little bit more, perhaps try taking that right leg back out along the floor now. So we're trying to keep the heel directly over the knee joint. If you find it's a bit tiring holding onto the foot, you could also hold behind the back of the thigh if you don't want to use the strap. Deep belly breaths, expanding on the breath in. And then we'll guide that right foot back in, releasing the left foot back down to the floor. And then sliding both heels away. Relax, compare. Or loosen off. All right, taking both knees in towards the chest, hands around the knees, going just for a nice little rock side to side. And then from here, let's roll it over. And coming over onto hands and knees. So we'll be working to downward dog. If you want a little padding underneath the knees, then you can set something softer. And if you need to adjust the cameras, feel free to do that as well. All right, so from our kneeling hand position, we're going to just tuck the right toes under, reach back through the heel, get a nice little stretch through the sole of the foot. A little bit of extra work through the calf muscle there. And then from that straight right leg, start to bend the knee a little bit. You're going to feel that stretch change lower down into the calf. And then we'll re-extend back, straightening into that right leg. Okay, coming down, we'll change over. So left toes tucked under. Straight knee to start off with. And then begin to bend a little bit into that left knee, feeling that change in the stretch. Ease it back to straight. And then we'll bring that knee back in, release, and just rotating into the wrist. So we're going to give them a little bit of a circle round. Okay, and perhaps a little bit of a movement for the shoulders and the other way. So getting ready for downward dog. Okay, so back to hands and knees, but we'll have those hands a little further in front of the shoulders, fingers spread out. And I personally like to have my hands a little bit wider than my shoulder width. So you can have a play around with that, see what works for you. Let's tuck the toes, inhale up with the hips nice and high, head relaxed between the upper arms. And then just easing down through the heels into our Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Holding here for a few breaths. Of course, anytime you need to come out of a posture, feel free to always come out and have a rest. This is good for building strength in the upper body. And then taking both knees back to the floor, coming into a child pose. So hips towards the heels, either arms resting beside the body, head on the floor, or you can support the head on the hands. And then we'll come back up and resetting again for our downward dog. So this time you may want to try just slightly rotating the fingers out to the corners of the mat. So rather than having the middle finger pointing straight ahead, just angle it a little bit more towards the corners of the mat and just kind of turn the shoulders a little bit out as well. So we'll tuck the toes, lifting up, and then easing back on our exhale to our Svanasana. And if you don't like the hand position, feel free to move it back. But if you're happy with it, stay with it. As we breathe in, we'll lift the heels away from the floor, lift the sit bones to the ceiling, move the chest a little bit more towards the knees if we can. And then on the next exhalation, easing the heels back towards the ground, keeping that spine nice and long. Now we'll be walking hands and feet towards each other into a forward bend. So let's take ourselves into Uttanasana. And if you do have a blanket, you may want to shift that off to the side. So feet should end up hip width, knees are soft, and you can fold the arms, or perhaps if you need to, you can rest a little higher, elbows on the knees. And then releasing the arms. Taking your time as we inhale to come up, we'll just roll it up, nice and soft. And now that we're up for standing postures, again, if you want to readjust your camera angles or anything like that, do that now. Okay, we'll get stuck into some standing poses. So next one, it's a bit balancy. And what we're going to do, and I don't know how well I'll do this one either, is we're going to take one leg sort of swinging across like that. If you can do it off the floor, awesome. But if you lose your balance, you can always touch the toes to the ground.
And then we're going to try and take the arms in the opposite way. So it's a bit of a coordination. Just whatever, I'm already mucking it up, that's okay. Just whatever you can manage. So the arms I'm completely lost now. Let's try the other side. Hopefully I'll do better on that. So you can see the teacher mucks it up, doesn't matter. Okay, so we're going to start with the left foot and see if we can bring it across. And maybe you can always just put the toes on the ground for a bit more balance. And then I'm going to try and get my arms to go in the opposite direction. Helps if I don't look at myself in the camera. That definitely puts me off. Okay, and we'll come back out. All right, so from here, let's bring the feet back to about hip width apart. We're going to do both feet on the ground now. If it's not comfortable to have the arms overhead, you can interlock if you find that's a little bit easier. You know, feel free to leave the arms down beside the body. So we're going for a side stretch. Let's take both arms up. And we're opening up to the right side first. So I'm going to exhale over to the left. And we want to keep the chin nice and open, so make sure you haven't dropped the head. Press down strong through both feet. Breathe up, extend through the arms a little bit more. Exhale maybe a little bit more over if you can. And next breath in, we'll come back to our center. If you want to give the arms a rest, you can. If you're happy to stay here, stay here. And we'll get ready for the other side. So inhaling lots of length. Exhaling, reaching over. Watching that bottom arm doesn't get away from you. So quite often we tend to drop it. Legs should be really pushing down against the floor. Another breath in, lots of length. Exhale, maybe a little bit more over if it's comfortable. And coming back out. Release the arms. Give the shoulders a shrug. Soften the knees. And relax. All right, from here, let's move into warrior one. So I'm going to face the short end of my mat. We'll be stepping the right foot forwards with the front knee bent. And if I place the hands on top of the pelvis, I'm trying to get both my hips pointing towards the top of the mat there. All right, so let's breathe up the arms. This time they're shoulder width apart. Try and relax the shoulder blades down, the rib cage towards the buttocks, and reach back through that left heel. So we should be getting a good stretch through the left Achilles heel and the calf. If not, pivot that back foot a bit further around. And keeping everything as it is, but just bending that back left knee again. So we're working slightly more into that lower calf. Back knee's just a little bit bent. I'm trying to keep my heel on the floor. And then really straightening into that back left leg. Bring the arms down. And we'll step out. Okay, changing sides. So right foot back. Front knee bent just over the ankle there. Make sure that back foot's turned as much as it can to face the top. And hands on the hips. Let's just see if we can get both hips facing to the top of the mat as well. All right, breathing up, taking the arms. If you want to do a different arm position, feel free to. And we're extending strongly down through that back right foot. So lift the right kneecap, right thigh. That leg's working strong. Gaze can either be up to the fingers or straight ahead. And then holding this position, just bending now that right knee, trying to keep the heel grounded though. It's not a big bend. And then re-extending back through that right leg, straightening the leg again. We'll bring the arms down and step back up. Loosen up. So our next pose is Dance of Lord Shiva. So again, it's a balance. You can do this with your back against the wall or hold on to something if you need to. So I'm going to balance on my right foot, taking the left knee up. Now you could keep the toes on the floor if you like, but we try and keep the knee in line with the hip if we're lifting it all the way up. So I'm going to angle the foot slightly across, bend into this right knee. So I don't want to have it locked out. I want to keep a bit of a bend in that right knee. Then we're going to bring the left hand across the chest and then the right elbow above the left hand. If you want, you can touch the thumbs to the index fingers. And this is our Lord of the Dance. So the spine stays really nice and long. This is good strengthening for our hip flexors. And then to come back up, we simply just step back down. Transfer the weight across to our left foot. We'll be taking the right leg up if possible, or you can have toes on the floor. Point the foot just slightly across. Right arm across the chest. Left arm up. Make sure you're bending now into that left knee as we breathe. So I'm trying to keep my knee in line with my hip. And then we'll come back down and shake it out. Listen. Nice. We'll take the feet a little wider. This time both feet will stay on the floor. This is called Urvasana. So we are going to keep the feet straight. We're going to bend the knees. I want the knees in line with the toes. So we're slightly drawing the outer thighs to an external rotation. We're going to place the palms together. Lift the elbows up in line with the wrists. And then we just sit down and hold. But while we're holding, think of, without letting the feet move, think of trying to pull the toes away and the heels in towards each other. So it's like I'm trying to spiral my feet, but they're not moving. You just feel all the muscles tightening up around the legs there. And then release, ease out, and relax. Again, if you want to do a little shakeout, you can. So the bricks we're going to be using next for our chest to leg extension. We're going to be doing this particular pose a couple of times, and it's just nice to have the hands resting on something, especially if you've got those tighter hamstrings. So anything you've got, I did read the other day that, people from doing yoga at home, you can even use tins of tomatoes or whatever you've got to put, just lift those hands a little bit higher. So we're going to set them up either side of the mat there. And the setup of the feet is a little bit like our warrior one. So I'm going to step the right foot forwards. And I do want to try and get my feet pointing to the top of the mat. And then I'll just bring those bricks in so that when I come to my forward bend, they're going to be roughly underneath my shoulders. If you've just got one, then you can set it up underneath the chest in the middle big toe side of foot. Otherwise, if you've got two either side of the foot there, you can always adjust it when you're down there. All right, so we're going to start with the hands on the pelvis. Straighten into that right leg. Relax the shoulders back. We're going to try and keep both shoulders level, and we're only going halfway. So we inhale, lengthen through the front body, and as we exhale, start to fold from the hips as we come down. And it may not even be halfway, it could be here. So just check that you haven't already dropped the right shoulder. So you need to strongly press through the feet to hold this position. Legs are working very, very strong. All right, we're going to inhale, come back up. Release. If you want to relax the legs, just bending that front knee is going to help with that. Okay, so once more, straightening into the legs. Press strongly through the left foot, breathe in. As we exhale, start to fold forwards from the hips. And this time we'll allow the hands to come down to rest either on our supports. We do want both legs straight, so that's why it helps to have those hands a little bit higher. But feel free to adjust the height if you feel that you can. So from here, I still want to keep my spine long. So I want to resist sort of dropping the head and rounding through my back. So I'm going to take the gaze forwards, draw the shoulders back, and lengthen out through the top of the head. And hopefully you're feeling a good stretch in that front right leg, or you may feel it in the back left leg. I'm drawing up both kneecaps, just allowing body to get used to this. So we'll bend the front knee, which will feel easier. It's a nice little rest. And then from here, push through the legs, breathing up. And we'll step forwards and just notice the difference in the legs. This is our warm up. All right, we'll warm up the other side now. So taking right foot back, left foot will stay forwards. And straightening into the legs. We'll have the hands on the hips, try and keep the shoulders level. We're only going part way. So on your next exhale, start to fold. And feel free to stop. Just don't go past the hips. If you're happy to go a bit lower, that's fine. But long spine. So notice how strong these legs have to work to hold the body in place. All right, let's come back up. You can soften the knee, have a little break with the legs. And this time we'll allow the hands to come towards the floor, which feels much easier. So when you're ready, exhale, fold forwards. And this time we will let the hands come down onto supports. And keeping those legs straight, really draw back with that left hip. Lengthen through the spine. So we want to resist rounding into the back in this position. If you feel you're rounding, if you can, take those hands higher. From this position, we'll bend that front knee. Push through the feet, inhale, coming back out. And we'll step out. Again, just compare. Notice how it all feels. And release. So this is called chest to leg extension. It would be lovely if one day we were going to put our forehead on our shin, but doesn't matter if we don't. We'll just see where we get to. So we're going back to the right foot forwards. Back to our first side. Draw up through those leg muscles. And this time, placing the hands behind the back. So there's lots of different options. If you're happy to do a backward prayer, you bring the fingers together, turn them in, and then bring them up the back, if that works for you. But if it doesn't, you can always just grab the forearms. The idea is just to get the shoulders back, the chest open. Okay, so from this position, let's exhale, fold forwards. Maybe able to go that little bit deeper.
Shoulders still staying level. Notice how it's quite different with the arms behind the back. Okay, breathing back up, nice and strong. Let's change sides. So left foot forwards. If you did holding of the forearms, maybe have the other arm on top this side. If you did backward prayer, it's still the same. So from here, exhale, start to fold forwards. Legs stay straight. Steady breath, soft face. And then push through the legs, inhale, come back up. Release the arms, step back out. Show you off a little bit. We've got one more to go. So this last one, your choice of arms. You can put your hands on the floor or on the bricks this time. And yeah, we'll see where we get to. We'll maybe hold it a little bit longer. So right foot forwards. Personally, I'm going to start with my hands on my hips. I just quite like that one. So we're going to breathe in, exhale, start to fold. And then you can release the hands onto the floor, onto the bricks, whatever works for you. Think of that nice long spine, shoulders back. And then depending on where you're comfortable with, you may want to try bringing the right hand behind the calf. Take a breath in, lengthen through the back. And then as you exhale, releasing the head towards the shin. You could even place both hands behind the leg, but that's a bit more balancey. Or you could just stay with the bricks. Think of that length. Breathe. We're opening up all into the back body. From here, release the hands back to the floor, back to the bricks, then the front knee. So with the front knee bent, it should feel a little bit more comfortable. Let's just see if we can move that right hip back a little bit more over to the left side. And then once more, re-straighten into that right leg. Just that little bit extra. Bend into the front right knee. On the next breath in, take the gaze up. Push through the legs, keeping the knee bent as we come all the way back out and stepping out. Maybe going for a bit of a walk this time because that's a bit more intense. Probably feel that in your right buttock. Hamstrings. Okay, last side to go, left side. So if you like the bricks, have them set up. Left foot will be forwards. And keeping those hips level. When you're ready for your exhale, let's begin to fold forwards. And you can release the hands onto the supports or the floor, whatever works for you. And if you'd like, you can try bringing that left hand behind the calf. Inhaling, get that length in the back, and as you exhale, releasing the head towards the shin or wherever it's happy to come to rest. Feel that stretch in the back of the body.
And then placing the hands back on the supports or the floor. So bending the left knee, and with the left knee bent, think of moving that left hip a little bit over to the right. Re-straightening last time into that left leg. Last little bit of effort as we fold. And bending it once more, left knee, gaze forwards. We're going to strongly press down through the feet, keeping the left knee bent. Make our way up. Stepping up, maybe go for a little walk. Loosen it off. That's our chest to leg extension. Quite strong. All right. So from here, we'll go lengthways on the mat now. So I'm facing the long end of the mat. With the right foot turned out, that's roughly in the middle. Big step back with the left foot also roughly in the middle. But I have slightly turned my back foot in. The toes angled slightly in. Bending into the front right knee. So we'll come for our warrior two, arms out, shoulder height. Think of opening up this inner right thigh. And then we'll take it into a nice relaxed angle pose. So we're going to extend over the right leg, place the forearm on the thigh, and if you like, you can extend the top arm over as well. Feel both feet really connected, planted to the floor. Soft base. We'll sweep the top arm down. As we breathe in, we'll come back up and release. Pivoting on the spot, so let's turn both feet. Again, I'm just making sure my heel's roughly in line with my instep of the back foot. And then we'll bend into that front left knee. Opening up the left inner thigh this time. I'm encouraging the knee towards the middle toes there. Breathe out the arms, warrior two. And then we'll glide it over into a relaxed angle pose. So resting forearm on the thigh, sweeping the top arm over and across, rotating through the upper body. Soft base. See if we can have the toes relaxed in the feet. And then we'll sweep that top arm back down. Inhale it back up. Releasing the feet. Let's bring them back in. Shake it out. So I really only have one more standing pose. It's a balance. So I thought we'd do Ardha Chandrasana. I really like this one. You could use the wall, chairs, etc. So if you want a bit more assistance, feel free to lean back against something that's a little bit more solid than my curtains. And again, a brick can be really handy. So have that set up, just one. Nice to have a bit of height underneath that right hand, which is what we'll be balancing on first, is the right foot. So I've got my right foot at least a foot away from the brick, and it's slightly behind me. So it's not in line with my toes, it's more in line with my little toe back behind. And if I was using the wall, I'd pretty much have my brick against the wall, but my foot would be a whole foot off that edge of the wall there. Okay, so from here we'll move into our relaxed warrior two. I'm going to try and keep my gaze pointing straight ahead at the camera. So pick a drifty, a point that's not going to move on you. We're going to ease forward, step in with the left foot, place that right hand down, keeping the gaze on that steady point, and then we transfer the weight into the right foot, lift that left leg up, maybe take that left arm up, and of course keep breathing. So really extend out through all four limbs and the crown of the head. We'll gently make our way back out. Nice work. And if you forgot to breathe, make sure you're breathing now. I've got one more to go, so let's switch it over. So it'll probably be a new gaze point now. So I try to keep something at least about eye height or maybe even higher rather than towards the floor. We'll bend into the left knee, easy, relaxed, warrior two. Start to step in with the right foot as we reach down with the left hand. Resisting the urge to look down if you can. And then slowly lifting everything up. Steady breath. And if you fall out, that's okay. It's just part of learning. And some days are definitely easier than others. This is our last standing posture. We're nearly done. We'll come back out. Soften the knee, come back out. Okay, last little swing here. Relax. Now we'll be moving next into a forward bend back to our downward dog to make our way to the floor. So if you'd like to start towards the back of your mat, and then we'll be walking the hands forward. So have the feet set up for hip width. Try and have them pointing straight ahead. Let's fold into our Uttanasana, so soft knees, fold from the hips, maybe fold the arms, let the head hang. Just get that sense of really stretching the whole spine in this position. Releasing the fingertips to the floor. And then starting to walk forwards with the hands back to our Svanasana. Find that comfortable position. Okay to let the heels come off the ground. Try and keep the shoulders relaxed. And really utilize the whole hand. So I'm pressing through my fingertips, my knuckles, the palms. Steady belly breaths. And we'll be coming down to a child pose. So when you're ready, taking both knees to the floor. And you can either set the knees up hip width, or you can go a little wider. Big toes touch. Either head supported on the ground or on the hands. And then coming back up to hands and knees. Just bringing the knees back into about hip width. Again, if you want a little bit of softness under the knees, you could set that up. Actually, well, I'm going to put a little bit more softness on the knees. We're going to have the knees together and we're just rolling side to side. So I'm going to take the hips to one side. The opposite knee will come off the floor. So it's a little bit of a twist. And then coming back to center. From here, we'll come over onto our backs. So setting up for bridge pose. And if you want to make your bridge pose a little bit more rested when we get to holding it, again, you could use a brick for support. You want to work stronger, of course, you don't need to use a brick at all. And if you need to readjust your camera angles now that we're down on the floor, then please do that as well. So I've set my feet up, hip width apart. Sometimes, especially because, you know, we're not in classes with our teachers at the moment, quite often when we put our feet on the ground, you'll unconsciously have one foot a little bit ahead of the other, or not quite matched. So a nice way to fix that for yourself without having an outside pair of eyes is to just place the toes right down near the edge of the mat there. So I can feel both feet are touching the edge of the mat at the same point. And then I can just shuffle in to my bridge, and I know that my feet are equal now. So if you know you've got a hip or a knee that's a little bit different from the other side, then quite often your feet will end up in different positions too. So arms to the side of the body, breathe in, we'll raise the hips, and then exhale, we're going to roll it back down. So it's a rolling bridge. And if you like, you could also add the arms overhead as you breathe in and come out. And exhale, you can always bring them down. Just going to a level that's comfortable for your back. Then we'll keep the arms down beside the body. This time when we come up though, we'll hold it up here. So we're going to hold it in our Setu Bandha, our bridge pose, keeping the knees in line with those toes. Breathing into that open chest. And as I push through my feet a little bit more, I can gain a little bit more height, a bit more opening in the front body. But I still have space at the front of my throat and also behind the back of my neck. If you need to come down, you can, but if you're happy to stay just for a few more breaths, working those back muscles. And then on the next exhalation, releasing the spine to the floor. Once the buttocks are down, soften. So we'll take ourselves into our twist. So from this position, you may want to try taking your left leg over your right leg. For those who can do eagle legs, hooking the foot behind the calf, you could give that a go if you like. If you want something a little bit stronger for those hips. We're going to take the arms out, shoulder height, and then let's roll both knees over to the right. So we've got left leg on top, legs are going to the right.
On the exhale, just trying to relax a little deeper. So we're allowing ourselves to release and sink to the floor. On the next breath in, we'll make our way back up. Unravel the legs. And then right leg will come over the left, maybe eagle legs if that works for you. Otherwise, just across like I'm doing. On the exhale, let's roll it over to the left. So relaxing into that breath. Trying to let go a little bit more on each exhale. And then next breath in, we'll make our way back up. Uncross. And if you feel your back needs it, knees to chest, giving yourself a little massage, whatever feels good. And finding a comfortable position to set yourself up for relaxation. So putting some warm clothes on, perhaps setting up some pillows, etc. underneath the knees if you like to have the knees bent. I thought for the relaxation today, seeing that we have pretty much a full moon this week, we would do a moon relaxation. So maybe go outside tonight if it's not raining and check it out. Once you feel yourself settled on the floor, finding that stillness, following the breath in and out through the nostrils. Letting that breath become soft, natural, so no control of the breath. And imagine that you are strolling along a beach. It's a really nice warm night. Nobody else is around. This is a beach where you feel very safe and secure. It's a beautiful night. There are lots of stars in the sky. And you can see the full moon. It's one of those times where it looks really big, soft, and luminous. And you notice that the moon is making a shimmering path on the surface of the sea. Looks like liquid silver. You just watch the moon and the silver path on the seawater, taking in deep breaths of that fresh, salty air. And just feeling that calming, cooling energy of the moon entering your body with each breath. As you breathe out, you can feel any tension, tiredness, discomfort just leaving the body. Drawing in that beautiful liquid silver of the soft, luminous moon. And then you can choose to either stay seated on the beach, or maybe you'd like to wade out into the sea and float on that silver moon path. And you can direct that energy of the moon to different parts of your body. You breathe it down into the feet. Feeling both feet with that peaceful calmness, that liquid energy. And then you flow the breath into the legs, all the way from the ankles up to the thighs. Feeling the legs just relaxing with that cooling energy, taking away any muscle tension. And then sending that breath and moon energy into the arms, all the way down the shoulders to the fingers. And then with that soft, peaceful calmness, and then flowing the breath and energy of the moon into the torso, into the trunk of the body, the organs. Think of all of your internal systems coming back into balance, including the reproductive, the digestive, the nervous systems, the respiratory, and the heart. Feeling them full of peaceful calmness. From the trunk of the body, let that breath and energy flow into the shoulders, up through the muscles of the neck, thinking of both the neck and shoulders, releasing all tension. And observing the head, feeling how heavy the head feels on the floor. Relaxing into the forehead and the scalp. And as you breathe in, filling your head, your brain with peace and calm. Letting go of mental tension, worries. Letting them go. The whole body enjoying that sense of peace and calmness from that beautiful, luminous, soft moon energy. And if it's time to come back, if you made your way out into the sea, coming back to the sand, see yourself walking back along the beach. And coming back to the room that you're lying in, feeling the weight of the body on the floor. And feeling the sounds, the air in the nostrils. Conscious of your surroundings, picturing the walls, the ceiling. Drawing a deeper breath into the lungs. And as you breathe in, adding some movement to the fingers and the toes. Beginning to stretch into the arms and the legs. Stretching now in any way that it feels good to move. Waking up. Rolling over to one side. And then coming to sit. Okay, so today's quote is from Sadhguru. And this may be happening for some of us, but it says, if you are alone and you are getting bored, obviously you are in bad company.
So hopefully you're not alone in getting forward.
I love it.